I read the forums like, yeah, old Starva had to hold back on posting videos because the AMA like made him upset. Like, what the heck? Alt said the devs are uncreative. That doesn't sound like him. Are we talking about the same guy? I don't think he would say that. Watch it now. Coconut. Watch it now. Ranting about the recent dev Q&A. Dead by Daylight.
Hello friends, this is Odds, and yesterday the developers of DbD held a Q&A session at Reddit where they answer questions from the community.
Okay.
I followed it really closely and I was very disappointed. This video is not going to be a summary of everything that happened. You'll find one down below if you want to see the whole thing. Instead, I'm going to nitpick a few other posts to show you what I found so disappointing. Okay. In one word, it's just ambition. There's just no ambition where whatever gameplay is concerned. Now, about some of the things that the developers talk about, such as skins. Yeah, they tell us, oh, we're porting skins from DbD Mobile. Yes, we're creating this new system where you're going to be able to upgrade your skins from the Rift. That's kind of like what Fortnite did, where you get a costume or a skin and it gets progressively cooler, I guess. So in those regards, the game is ambitious, you know. Obviously in the release date for new content, the game is very ambitious, but in polishing gameplay and polishing the already existing experience and in things other than events and stuff, that's where things slow down very dramatically.
The only thing I wonder is, like, over the past years, they did like the 39 perk reworks, they did the progression system, they did the prestige rework. They're going to be adding game modes soon. Like, I feel like, aren't they doing a bit? I don't know. I need to watch more.
So this is one that I've asked the developers to do for a very long time on behalf of the DbD tournament organizer community, and it is the question of, are there plans to update custom lobbies, give more options, more spectator lots, free cam, anything at all? And they say this has been considered by the team for tournament reasons, but they're not going to be arriving in the game anytime soon due to priority reasons. I do think that if this game was more watchable, that would be really nice. Anytime I've hold events or I've witnessed or watched events from other people, there's things like this going on, like spectator bugs, jittery cameras, problems that result in teams having to reset and tournament organizers wasting time. It makes watching DbD less fun.
Yeah, that's true.
But I understand it's a low priority. It's a very small percentage of the player base. So
the issue is with tournament play. Wasn't there a video where Ardetha made a video called the DbD's failed esports scene? Like, hasn't DbD been doing competitive tournaments every single month, and they've been experimenting with it? If it's considered a failed project, like, I feel like Behavior was experimenting. Does the community want, like, competitive more in their community? And maybe they came to the conclusion that, like, the community doesn't want as much competitive stuff, so that's why it might be lower down the rung. When it comes to making the custom lobby matches look better, Behavior is not looking at the focus of, like, content creators. Yes, this is considered a quote-unquote lower priority on the rung, but it actually is, like, free marketing to make it so that it's more watchable in a sense, because the videos look better when people create content about it.
But then I asked a question myself that I thought was actually quite important for a big part of the player base, which was the following. When Stranger Things came back, the perks that were common now are no longer common, and they're licensed perks. So that means that a new player, for example, doesn't have Jolt, doesn't have Better Together, doesn't have some perks that were honestly really nice. So I asked, are there any plans to rework or improve the current pool of common perks?
Wait a second. The perks have disappeared. With Jolt being gone, the killer no longer has a regression perk unless they buy. So like, all the perks they gave out to everyone for free, they just took it away. Oh, that's kind of fucked.
The common perks are, of course, Resilience, they are Spies from the Shadows, Sloppy Butcher, all those perks. Are there any plans to improve them? Now, I didn't ask if they would make new ones, but they still answer that. They say, this is something we were discussing yesterday. Right now, we have no immediate plans to introduce new general perks. Fine, completely fine.
Okay.
New killers are also up against new survivors, so gen regression perks are not necessarily needed at this level when players are learning to play the game. And the base character perks reflect this. This is where my problems begin. This is such a lack of ambition. It is such a, well, we don't really need to make it better. because I mean, you can tell by the amount of downvotes and the very reasonable reply by the next user that people did not like this. If you didn't catch it, as I said, some perks are no longer common, and these perks are now gone. These are the common perks that both sides have access to. Especially on the killer side, we have at least 6 or 7 perks that are genuinely borderline useless. From this list, I only see 4 perks that are worth running, and some of them are even hard to use for beginners, or hard to use on some killers. So, like, the fact that the developers think that these perks are fine for beginners and that base perks reflect this, the only thing this reflects is that these perks are really horribly designed, some of them, and not suitable for beginners. Some of the best beginner perks are locked behind paywall or locked behind charts. It's true that some of the killers in the future will be easier to unlock, but I still found this question a little bit lacking in any kind of ambition. I would have loved to, instead of reading this, be like, you know what, that is a great point. We are going to redesign perks. We're going to swap some things around so that beginners have a great experience and they have every tool they need to learn the amazing world of Dead by Daylight. And we'll be sure to keep that in mind.
What I feel like is that the behavior employee, when they read Altstarva's comment, I think this did not, they kind of like skimmed over it, and they didn't kind of like get the general gist of what he said. He's like, are there any plans to rework and improve the current pool of common perks? We have no plans to introduce new perks. New survivors or general progression perks are not necessary. This guy didn't even read Altstarva's comment. That's bad. Yo, Mike, I hope... Don't fire Mike. I think he just didn't read the comment properly. That's fucked though. Because he's like, is there any plans to rework or improve the current pool? And then Mike is like, oh, yeah, we don't want to introduce new perks. New players are versing new survivors. Mike, you f***ed up, man.
That would have been a great answer. I would have loved to see that, but no, we don't get that. Next up, do you plan for survivors to be able to inspect other survivor builds before the game starts? I find this to be an incredibly important feature, and the developers say, this is something we've also thought about, but we are currently restricted due to flexibility in the lobby screens. We're updating these old screens gradually, and you should see some improvements over the next years. Smiley face. This, I share the sentiment. Years? What do you mean years? Dead by Daylight Mobile, this is a screenshot from a video recorded 2 years ago. More than 2 years ago, Dead by Daylight Mobile already had a feature to see your teammates.
Not only that, I don't want to advertise cheating programs, but the cheating programmers already have it so that you can see the loadouts on the survivors.
I understand that you cannot just put this on a DbD lobby, but it could come up on a DbD loading screen. And it could have an option thing so that you don't share your loadout if you don't want to, if people want to play with their private loadouts. Something like this should not be this difficult to implement. The fact that they are happy to say that this is coming in years is insane to me. But it does make sense if we read one of the next questions that was asked. Krasul Bear asks, are there any plans to further bridge the Survivor Friends and Solo Survivor gap by providing solo players with more information about their allies? They say...
Oh my god, it's Mike again. Mike, what are you doing, man? Okay, sorry.
They say, we always monitor the difference between Survivor Friends and Solo. But this is strange because they don't tell us what it is. They don't tell us if there's any major difference. Well, they say they monitor it and they don't say anything else. So we're led to assume that there's not a great difference, even though subjectively it feels like playing solo is awful. Our current stance is that lack of information is not the crux of the matter. It's not the crux of the problem. But rather that friends work together by nature and so survivors don't as much. This to me is insane. You should see the replies to this and look at the amount of downvotes. Like, this is insane. Of course, if you play with strangers, you are less likely to help them because you don't know what they have. You don't know what they want to do. You don't know what they're prepared to do. You don't know if they have any perk to get a second chance. So I do think that this question was answered poorly. I genuinely don't understand what they were going for here. It's almost like they're implying that solo players are just kind of lone wolves and they just don't want to help each other. When I
That's not
honestly think that most people would
true.
if they knew what was going on. If you saw some of the replies, many people seem to agree with the sentiment.
If you kind of knew what your teammates were running, you'd change your playstyle a little bit more, right? It's like, oh, Claudette has adrenaline, so I'm going to pop the generator because she's being slugged right now. Oh, Lori's injured, but she has self-care, so I'm going to not go to her on Kindred because she's healing herself right now. Even if you're solo, right? The ability to see the type of perk options are different. A more moderate answer would be if I was in Mike's position, because this is what I think Behavior's doing. I think Behavior's prioritizing fun more than competitive or like strategic planning, right? We don't care about the competitive play right now. We don't care about hardcore players going against hardcore players. Right now, we are focusing all of our manpower towards the game modes. You guys have been asking for game modes for like 6 years. So we're going to do game modes. We literally have no manpower to do these QOLs at the moment. Like, if they said something like that, it would pass way better than what they're saying right now.
More information about their allies.
That is what I think they're doing right now.
And that would,
because game modes honestly would take a shitload of time to develop. I think this was a poor response.
Someone asks, with bots taking over disconnected players, this was a welcome change, but players would rather dodge the DC penalty and just kill themselves on hook. Is there any plan to
Mike again, Michael? Oh God.
Combat survivors killing themselves on the first hook deliberately? Now, I understand it's really difficult to hold the hand of survivors or any player to force them to do something, but this is what the developer said. I wish I had more to say on this topic, but no, we don't have any plans for this. We hear your concern and recognize your frustration, but we just don't have any reasonable solutions here. Sad, but true. I get it. Listen, I get it. There's nothing you can do to force players not to do something they want to do. But to hear that they tell us that information is not important, so they don't give us something like this. But then they also tell us that if people kill themselves, well, you just can't help it. There's nothing we can do. We cannot have some kind of system that maybe if you try to kill yourself on hook, you do get replaced by a bot. We can find some kind of system for people to have some kind of bonus or encouragement if they don't kill themselves on hook. We don't have some kind of system to encourage good teamwork. So, like, it's just complete lack of ambition.
Like they can't just say like we can't do it. They gotta be like, we currently don't have like the manpower or something. What's the reason? Why can't you do it at the moment? Is it a time crunch? Are you too busy making because what the community assumes, like, oh, they're too busy trying to develop features to milk the money machine as hard as possible with, like what Strava said, like the cosmetic stuff, or like they're working on a feature that takes a shitload of time, which they should probably say. When they do something like that, it's like the TCM community problem where they have the giant ass banner for the Nico skin. It's like, oh, do the devs really care about us? Do they really care about this type of reasoning?
Complete lack of ambition. And this is just making me reconsider what I'm going
to... It makes it seem like they don't care when they reply like that.
To do with my content moving forward, because for the last few years I've been very personally involved in trying to send feedback from the community to the developers and making videos about issues about the game, but some of these things are going to change. Videos covering specific issues of the game that are in the game right now or in a future PTB. I'm never making videos like this again. I am never making videos like this again. I've made quite a few over the years addressing problematic perks or add-ons or maps or anything like that. I'm going to stop. This does nothing. Most of the times when I make a video like this, it has no impact on the game. The developers do what they were going to do anyway, whatever that might be.
If Alts ever, like, if I turn this into a video, if Alts wants to know, I don't know if he does this. Usually what gets the developers to change things is you have to show them, well, this is what I do. I show them, like, this is problematic, and I show, like, gameplay. Look, boil over, I get to wiggle off the killer in 2 seconds. Like, okay. They're like, oh shit, we gotta change that. Like, it's like, oh, I'm getting held hostage. I'm gonna post like a fuckload of getting held hostage on DbD. And they're like, oh shit, cheaters are a big issue, right? Like, we gotta change that. I think Alts probably does do that stuff where he does show like if you want them to change scavenger, right? I showed them a video. Like I put something together. I'm like, okay, scavenger. If I use this perk, I can complete 3 generators solo in 2 minutes. Alone. It's like, wow. So if you have 4 people doing it, wow, all the gens could be done in like 2 minutes 30 seconds. I don't know if Altsdarva does this type of mentality where you kind of like systematically break down the gameplay elements of why things are broken, but that generally gets the devs to change what you want. Yeah, it's just like explicit showing. It's a different story though if he does do that and the devs don't listen though.
Accusing me of getting...
The problem with the devs not knowing how to balance the game is because they watch stats, not the gameplay itself. Yeah, they focus on the stats, but if you want them to change something, you need to show them through gameplay what's wrong. That's the issue. If he does do that and they still don't do it, yeah, that kind of sucks. I'd feel for him.
A perk nerf or getting a killer nerfed or doing something when I personally know that I have no such impact. The people that like this video were mostly for the people that keep up with the game not so much and want to know what is strong and what is coming. And for those people, I'm sorry, but this kind of videos, I'm just not making them. I will also probably refrain from making more videos with proactive suggestions. Videos such as, oh, fix this, oh, fix that, oh, change this, oh, this killer needs that. Maybe I'll make one more of this and then I'll never do it again. Because this, ultimately, this would be for the community. I don't think the developers really have this drive, this ambition to actually change in a reasonable time the things that are already in the game.
Here's the interesting bit. You remember when Scott Jund made the 7.00 Dream patch, greatest patch in history? Almost like 80% of the changes in this have been added to the game. There is no way that there is like 0 changes that were added from this video. I kind of refuse to believe that, but maybe it's true. I have a feeling we talked about this in my Discord. I have a feeling that a lot of changes that Alts were probably suggesting were reasonable, but the problems that it's likely that a lot of the changes that he was suggesting might have required a possible PTB. And it's like, well, that's a reasonable change. We could do that, but we need to do a PTB to see how it would affect the community. Oh, that's another one. But let me say 10, 20 changes that would require a public test build. Then you run into an issue of like, we can't do all these changes all at once, you know? It could be seen as like a lack of ambition, but like the issue is like you kind of do it like a step at a time, right? I just think it's interesting to point out that over time, a lot of the changes from this video that Scott made a while back got added to.
Covering new content, covering
the
new killers that come every 3.
The nurse suggestions by Alts actually did happen? Okay, well, that's good. Well, I don't know.
3 months. Yeah, we'll always do that. We'll always be there for that. That's always fun. Silly compilations of me screaming at people and funny things happening. Those obviously I'll still make. Tier lists and resources and guides and things for beginners. This is currently, I think, my favorite kind of content to make. This is the thing that I feel the best about doing, and I will continue to do this. In fact, look out for a bunch of updated tier lists coming soon. And challenges such as the 50 win series or other things like that, I think I'm also going to drop, at least temporarily, at least for the most part.
I'd be surprised.
It's just, this game is not in a good spot for this. As you guys know, they changed the MMR recently, which means that you're going to go against more and more difficult opponents if you keep winning your games. And that would be fine, but every now and then I have just horrible experiences. Just the other day, I was playing this match, and suddenly I found myself chasing this Jeff, and I thought he was a god. Like, he was running me
Is he cheating?
on tiles where none of my mind games were working, and I thought, okay, this is just the one survivor in the team. That's insane. He then healed someone else really fast.
Oh
but,
my god.
He had some healing perks, so maybe he was possible. I don't know. I didn't really raise an eyebrow there. And then at the end of the game, I have him pinned against the edge of the map, and I see his blood, and he's there, and I hear the exit gate make noise, and I go there, and his blood just disappears into the ground.
Okay.
He then teleported behind me and left with everybody else. It turned out it was a cheater. And you're never gonna know if you literally got outplayed or if it was someone that is actually good at hiding their cheats. I've also heard reports from people saying that they've been sniped more and more, and that cheaters have now a better stream sniping software. Which would seem to be the case because the last few days I've been having more cheaters than usual. And I don't think that they're suddenly more cheaters. I just think they're now better at finding particular streamers. Either that or just a very unlucky streak. But yeah, whatever the case, I'm gonna shy away from doing that kind of content and prevent myself from just being mad and frustrated. I will be playing other games, branching out to other stuff on top of doing my usual DbD videos. I'll be playing more and more other stuff. I recognize that when I play other games and I branch out to other things, I'm not as immediately knowledgeable, and I'm often not as entertaining or as good at the game. But I'll work on that. I'll try to make content that is compelling to watch for people that are familiar with the game or not. What I'm going to plan for the next few, God knows how long. But yeah, overall, pretty disappointed.
It's a bit concerning that Alts feels this way, because let's be honest, he is kind of like the DbD community when it comes to a lot of the content created around the killers and such. I have a feeling there's a bit of nuance missing here. I refuse to believe when he makes suggested changes that they kind of like don't do it. Maybe they just don't do like a lot of his changes or something. He also gets blamed by some of the community members if something he suggests gets changed, like made for this. And this is part of being the content creator. When you suggest changes, you're more likely to get backlash. Like, let's say like Alts makes majority or like killer content, right? He makes killer content. So like Nurse, like Tiffany, Hardcore Survivor, because he's been Hardcore Survivor, Trickster, Chucky, right? It's hard to play both sides, right? Because if you say something that favors the survivors, the killers are going to get angry. If you say something that favors the killers, the survivors are going to get angry. So it's just like, it just is what it is. That's just part of being a content creator. Topics like these are important because when you look at the DbD community, people have been posting videos less and less and less because there's that lack of passion trickles down to the creator community. When's the last time Rapid posted? The last time Rapid Main posted was 2 weeks ago. That was a long time. Super Alf, right? How long ago did Super Alf post? The last video Super Alf posted 3 weeks ago, right? It's like me. I've been trucking along. I've been doing some half-ass shit. Don't focus on what I'm doing, okay? Spook and Jukes has been posting a bit. These are like content creators from the DbD community. People, so like 4 days ago, 10 days ago, 13 days ago, it used to be that every single DbD content creator would post videos every single day. This quote-unquote lack of passion that Altsdava is pointing out, coming from the devs, is trickling down to the creators feeling like they can't. It's harder to make content. On a surface level, he's like the devs aren't showing that they care, but on the lower iceberg level, it is impacting the type of content that people, the frequency that of content that people post on a basis. Could be that the YouTube algorithm just sucks. They don't feel they get enough out of spending hours editing upload videos. Here's the issue: you got to replace algorithm with audience. Okay, the community is like not happy with the game, so it makes it so that videos do worse, right? So then content creators feel like they need to post like super high spectacular videos in order to get views. This is why what I said is like the devs need to try to get the community to like the game again. Okay, this is why they're doing game modes. The concept is the lack of ambition is a trickle down effect, not only from the top to streamers to community to just how people feel overall. So this is it's a deeper topic than what it looks like on the surface. You think they have selective hearing? I think that's proven to be the case, especially when we looked at the MMR system, right? Where people are like, oh, skill-based matchmaking bad, boon circle healing bad, right? And then they leave it in for 8 months, and then the selective hearing is like, oh no, we don't want to change that. We spent so much time on it. I already made a video about this. The problem with the devs is they're like, we've spent 7 months on this feature. We don't give a shit about whether you like it or not because we spent so long on it. So we're not getting rid of it. That is behavior's biggest weakness. By getting rid of this feature, we're throwing away hundreds and thousands of dollars because of it. You're not throwing away thousands of dollars. You have it in your back end, right? In case you want to like tweak it to make it better. But like, if it currently isn't working, bin it. Just kind of like when they had Skull Merchant, right? They shouldn't have released Skull Merchant. They should have just like, okay, we're not releasing her. We're going to fix her up first, then we're going to release her. It's like, that messes with our schedule. Fine, then just release it with like Nicolas Cage or something, or like a solo survivor or something. What are your guys' gripes with the game? Too many perks? Killing off play styles makes the game bland overall. Oh, that's funny, because I made it when I interviewed the 3-gen guy. That's exactly what he said.
I think it's very important for there to be a variety in playstyles.
You see, 3-genning is not really... It's not really the core problem. 3-genning is a byproduct of a bigger issue. You could always 3-gen for the past 6 years. But why did 3-genning crop up? 3-genning cropped up because behavior kept slashing different play styles with the introduction of base kit borrowed time, trying to add base kit unbreakable, and they're adding base kit deliverance. They're killing more and more play styles. So people are being forced into a corner where they can only play one way. And the underlying issue wasn't like that 3-gens, you could do 3-gens. The underlying issue is like they made it so that people were having less options to play the game. So ultimately, it led to more and more people playing a more boring playstyle. So it's a byproduct of the developer actions, in a sense. But I mean, that's the path they took, or that's the path they chose. So now this is our problem at the current moment. How do you fix it? They're gonna stop tunneling and camping. Well, they were reducing it, but it only made it worse, right? Let's put it in this perspective. They added skill-based matchmaking to the game, so people feel like they need to optimize, right? And to win. Games get harder, and people feel like they can only tunnel and camp to win the match. They add base kit barred time. Survivors when they unhook, they are safer. They feel like it's easier. It's a little bit easier to survive. So killers go harder and they tunnel harder. Over time, like survivors find a way to counter it and go tunneling camping only gets you like 1 kill. So then killers start 3-genning. So like the devs keep making decisions, pushing the game towards optimization. Not only that, they also did tournaments where they had seasonal tournaments for Dead by Daylight. And there'd be thousands of people that would watch these Twitch streams on competitive Dead by Daylight. And over time, your average typical survivor player started to learn how to become more optimal over and over and over again. To the point where when you play a normal game of killer, there are people running to the corner of the map so that you bleed them out. So that you can't make it to a hook. They want you to leave them on the ground. More of your average players became more optimal, more competitive. Then we get hook grabs too. Yeah, they also removed hook grabs. All of behavior's decisions have been leading up to this current state of Dead by Daylight that we have right now, where people play and think in a competitive manner. And this is part of the issue of when I also talked to the 3-gen singularity. They're listening to the community too much. They're trying to please everybody. And in reality, by pleasing everybody, they're mainly pleasing the local, the loud minority. And then they keep people pleasing, to the point where no one's happy. The people that are upset are always going to find something else to be upset at. And the people that are fine with the game aren't upset at all. And they're cheery and they're happy and they're chill. They try to people please those who complain. But the issue with the people that they try to please that complain is that they're never going to be happy. They're always going to find something else to complain about. Thus, when behavior goes to try to fix things that are quote unquote broken, they actually fix things that are actually good. And in turn, that's what makes it so that the people that are complaining are still complaining. Why didn't they stop complaining? The people that were happy are now complaining. So now nobody's happy. Every time your friends hop back on the game, they have things to complain, and you can never disagree with them. That's just certain individuals, where once they complain about something, they'll always find something else to complain about. That is the nature of certain individuals. But I believe that we're gonna get philosophical. I think that's correlative with an underlying narcissistic personality, like a narcissistic personality trait. It's not disorder, but like a certain thing where the game of what happens to me is what I think is what needs to change. If something really bad happens to me, this is broken. But it may not be like the thing that's like the best for the game, but it's the thing that's best for me. So I'm going to complain about it. You're way too accurate. That's because I know this shit. I study this shit. I self-study this shit. It's just right on the nail on the head. It's just right there. It's so easy to just slam it. The issue is that if a lot of the community members are like that, they're not going to look themselves in, they're not going to want to look themselves in the mirror. So if you tell them something like this, it's not going to change anything. They actually had a key. So the thing is, it's like, you may have the keys to the kingdom, but you're not going to be able to break down the doors. It's barricaded. There's nothing you can do about it. It won't budge. The only way is to get the developers to understand this and have it so that they understand, oh, this is why everything's dog shit. So this is how we're going to have to act accordingly. Okay, good.